Hello, everybody. Welcome to the City of Knoxville Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm Amy Sherrill, the chair of the BZA, and I'll be conducting today's meeting. Alongside me are the other members of the board. At the table across the room here are the city staff members, and today's meeting will be conducted in the order of the agenda. Agendas are available on the back table near the entrance. Before we continue our introduction remarks, we'll ask the staff to call roll.
Miss Amy Sherrill.
Here.
Mr. Brad Salisbury.
Here.
Mr. Daniel Odell.
Here.
Okay, very good. This is a 5-person board, but as you can tell, not all members are here tonight. So please be aware that in order to approve any variance or appeal, 3 votes are needed to be in favor in order for it to pass. If you would like to request a postponement of your item to next month's agenda, please come to the podium and request that now. We'll handle all postponement requests first, and then with no discussion of the merits of that application. Are there any requests for postponement? All right, seeing none. Pursuant to the BZA administrative rules, each matter on the agenda will be considered in the following order: staff comments, proponents, opponents, rebuttals, discussion among board members, motion, second, discussion among board members, and a vote. Members of the public may address the board, and the following rules apply. Each person may speak once for 5 minutes and shall not have more than one time to speak, except that the chair may allow 2 minutes to the applicant for a rebuttal. When more than one person wants to speak to an issue, each side is limited to 3 speakers, 5 minutes each. The board may ask questions of any speaker and may allow more time or more speakers by a vote. Speakers should limit their remarks to the facts of the case and should avoid repeating comments that have been previously presented to the board. All speakers should come to the podium and speak directly into the microphone. You will need to state your name and address for the record. Appeals of decisions by the BZA are made to the Knoxville City Council. A petition for such an appeal shall be filed with the Plans Review and Building Inspections Department not more than 15 days from the date of the BZA decision. All right. We've got 4th board member to add to the record. All right. First item here on the agenda is I'm going to make a motion. Can I group them together, Christina? To postpone the July and August meeting minute approval to the October meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next item here is a motion for an amendment to the agenda. We are, I'll make a motion to move BZA 250066 to appear immediately following BZA 250062.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. So looking here, we're beginning with some old business, and the first item today is BZA 250060. While our applicant makes their way up, we have staff comments.
Yes, the applicant is requesting one variance related to a parking lot expansion for a place of worship in a CH1/RN1 zoning district. The request is to increase the maximum allowed off-street parking spaces for a place of worship from 1,050 spaces to 1,602 spaces. The subject property consists of approximately 51 acres and is developed with a place of worship that is approximately 200,000 square feet of gross floor area. According to the applicant, the main assembly consists of 2,100 seats and has an estimated attendance of 4,700 visitors every Sunday. The demand for additional parking is based on the many other activities that occur simultaneously on campus as the main religious service is taking place in the main sanctuary. The proposed parking as shown on the site plan was constructed between 2016 and 2018 without a permit. And that one is, if you'll scroll down, just so that we're clear, I want to point it out. Yep. So that's going to be the blue, towards the bottom.
Bottom left.
Yep, right there. So that is the proposed parking as shown on the site plan was constructed between 2016 and 2018 without a permit. The other parking lot expansions were approved by engineering prior to the 2017 zoning ordinance amendment that introduced a minimum and maximum off-street parking space requirement. This is the reasoning for the discrepancy between what is shown as the maximum parking spaces allowed and the variance request to increase the number of spaces from 1,602. If this variance is approved, a permit for the parking lot expansion would still be needed to be approved by Development Services.
Thank you.
Adam Conetop, 1025 Investment Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37932, on behalf of Severe Heights Church. As Mark mentioned, the church's operation, the majority of their building is not their main sanctuary. And while reviewing the zoning code, it appears that the code is written with the mindset that churches are primarily a sanctuary with very little extra space. The way Severe Heights operates, they have multiple services, and every time a service is happening, there's almost an equal number of people on campus and doing other rooms, doing educational classes, nursery, etc. So that is our cause, our hardship, that the church does not fit into the typical definition of a place of worship per the code. And based on their average attendance, if you were to look at the maximum parking allowed per the code, it'd be limited to about 4.5 people per parking space, which is wildly in excess to the what the code's maximum is if you were to consider seats. We have also provided ITE reports, which is the industry standard for parking studies based on the square footage of the building and the average attendance. Given the average attendance and the square footage, ITE recommends an 85th percentile of 370 parking spaces, or 3,464, well in abundance of what we're actually asking for. So our case is that the code doesn't fully understand the operation of our facility. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. I have a representative from the church if you have specific church operation questions.
Okay, is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, very good. We will open discussion among the board. I have a question for staff. Is there not a hybrid approach to the calculations as there would be for a mixed use scenario, given that there's sanctuary and educational, like it seems to be a mixed use kind of a moment?
Those are considered accessory services for the place of worship.
Okay,
So in order to be a multi-tenant, there would have to be another tenant as far as business or LLC or something there at the establishment. And then in that case, it would result in, the minimum would be 3 per 1,000 gross floor area, and the max would be 8.
yeah, I just didn't know if there was some way to view the education component as something separate than the actual sanctuary room itself.
Yeah, the definition of place of worship has included accessory services, and those
Okay.
are part of the accessory services.
Okay.
And the parking calculation includes accessory services.
It does. The base calculation just talks about the main sanctuary and the seats in the main sanctuary. It doesn't actually take into account all the other accessory services, which is, I think, what his argument was about.
It's assuming you're doing one or the other, not both.
Correct.
Explain that to me just a little bit more. I'm not saying I disagree necessarily, but why doesn't just the very definition of a worship facility when I think of a church, I automatically think of auxiliary services or uses, would be the right word, associated with worship. Why is that really a differentiating thing in your mind, or is it a differentiating?
It's not. It's just in the definition. So places of worship may also include accessory services uses such as daycare facilities, meeting rooms, auditoriums, and/or classrooms for weekly religious instruction. And then when you look at the table 11-2 for off-street parking, it simply only states for the main sanctuary. So I think the reasoning behind it is that they're just assuming that you're going to have a larger sanctuary where most people and most activities are going to meet, and these other things are going to be a small aspect of it, whereas in their instance, there's a lot of accessory services.
The alternative to seeking a variance would be to be seeking an amendment to the code itself? Or is that not really an option? It wouldn't be here, but I'm just asking what.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would see it. Yes, they would have to amend the code.
And you're amending that table, I guess, would be the.
Yes.
Potentially more than that, yeah.
I'm honing in on that because I really do see that as a specific distinction. Generally, I'm not in favor of the argument of, well, the code doesn't address what I need, so I'm just going to ask, and that's my hardship. That on the surface doesn't quite, I don't, for my own mind, meet the definition of hardship. But if there's a real discrepancy inside of the code itself, which is what they're pointing to, it's a table itself that defines part of this does not meet the general description as it's called out, in this case for worship, that makes sense to me. Any further? I'm happy to make a motion. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve BZA 250059 as stated and for the reasons that they have submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The minutes. Thank you. That didn't all come out, but the motion was granted. All right, next item on the agenda is BZA 250061. Is our applicant with us today? Very good. As you make your way up, can we have staff comments?
Yes, the applicant is requesting two variances related to a proposed single-family dwelling in an R1 zoning district. The first request is to decrease the minimum required front setback in an R1 zoning district from plus or minus 10 feet of the average block face, calculated as 54.3 feet, with a minimum setback of 44.3 feet to 22 feet. The second request is to decrease the minimum required rear setback in an R1 zoning district from 25 feet to 18 feet. A demolition permit was approved in 2024 to raise the former single-family dwelling on the property. The applicant should discuss if any alternative designs were considered that would require a lesser variance.
Thank you. Will you state your name and address for the record?
Jose Martinez, 6618 Vance Road, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you. And will you describe your request and hardship?
Yes, so just looking to get 5 feet, be able to build 4 feet on the front setback and 8 feet on the back setback. Back setback. I think in that, in my application, it's the setbacks that are imposed right now make the construction of a reasonably sized home not doable, and makes the layout function of the home very difficult to build on. Just looking to get a couple feet from the front and a little bit more on the back. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
thank
good.
you.
That's a good visual.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition to this item? Okay, very good. I'll open to board discussion. I will say, looking at this parcel side by side, the block face is established off of Vance Road because that's what it's addressed for, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And looking at the depth of the existing lots, I mean, you're, to get into that block face range, you would be substantially reducing your buildable area. Whether it's minimum necessary or not, I'm not sure. The numbers here, so in the write-up, it says minimum setback of 44 going to 22 feet, but it says reducing the front setback by 4 feet in the application. Which one of those is,
So I based mine off of the site plan that was provided and not based on the application. So
okay,
I did it based on the site plan because at the end of the day, we're going to approve the site plan.
and that was what was published?
Correct.
Okay,
So that's 22 feet almost
yeah.
for front setback. Okay.
Did you look at an alternate home layout that maybe fit inside this box?
Yes, sir, I did.
Can you explain that further? Why is this the minimum adjustment that you are in need of?
It's a, it looks very similar to the rest of the street homes as well. It just unfortunately has like that garage and front porch really. And that's really all I got. It looks really similar to the rest of it. I didn't try to change or do a completely different look or home. Trying to get it close to what's going on there. If you do it within the setbacks, it's like 25 feet, 24 feet, I think, of a home. So it'd just be extremely irregular. You have a garage. I don't think it really works out really well with the rest of the street homes.
When you say the rest of the street homes, you just mean the where the front of the homes is located
Yes, sir.
relative to the street, kind of looking down the street.
Yeah, all down Vance Road.
Yeah.
So kind of blends in pretty well.
I think if I did my math correct, the buildable area would be 17 feet deep,
Yeah, it was tiny. I might have.
because the setbacks that are on that plan are actually wrong. It wouldn't be 25, it would be a 44.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so we're not talking about 3 feet, it's.
Yep.
Again, whether that's minimum, I don't know, but.
Yeah.
It is a reasonable house, it's not. Okay. Any further discussion?
Make a motion, we approve BZA 250061 on hardship of a irregularly shaped lot.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, it's been granted. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is BZA 250062, and while our applicant's making their way forward, can we have staff comments?
Yes, the applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed multifamily development in an R6 zoning district. The request is to decrease the minimum required front setback for structures over 35 feet in height from 35 feet to 31 feet. The project has been approved through plans review and received a permit in February of 2025. During a recent survey performed of the property, a setback encroachment of one of the buildings was identified as being non-compliant with the required minimum front setback. resulting in the need for a variance. The development is currently under construction as seen in the BZA sign photo at the bottom of the application.
Thank you. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for Novera Group and Miller Surveying, requesting this variance. What I handed out isn't a new exhibit per se. It's when we first filed the application, we thought we needed 3 variances for the building that's up in front there, and that is the exhibit that is attached to the application. Between the time we filed the application today, we dug into the zoning ordinance a little bit more, found there were some exemptions under 10.4, and that was able to, the encroachments that are in the setback a little further to the kind of the southeast were allowed. And so the only setback we now need is there on the northern portion of the building, which is in the perspective what's closest there to in that photograph. And that is 1.03 feet is the amount of a setback we need. Staff hit on it. This was permitted. We had it surveyed. We were going vertical. We already constructed the retaining wall there. We were the ones that discovered that there was a need for a setback and brought it to the city's attention. There wasn't a NOV or anything like that that was issued. We realized, because there's a curve in the road that made it difficult to shoot the line accurately, that there was a mistake that was made. And so we freely understand we made a mistake. And that necessitated the need to ask for a variance here, but it's odd-shaped lot, trying to lay out the buildings there with that curve. It really required us to now come forward, because now we have a building that had already gone vertical that has a technical violation of the setback. A couple things to note on this. Again, I said the lot is irregularly shaped and is a curved lot line, and there's some challenging topography. There's already an encroachment that's allowed in that retaining wall there. There's not been any public opposition to this. It's going to be imperceptible to anyone that there is a variance to it. This certainly is the minimum necessary. We're able to even reduce it more once we kind of looked at it. We're talking about, less than a foot. But the harm is that at this point, to correct it, we have to move a building back by a foot, which affects the entire site plan that has already been developed. So, when we're looking at all of this together, there is a site-specific constraint. There's a polyangular shape of the lot, an irregularly curved line. There's extreme topography. This is not going to have any effect on the right-of-way, any view sheds. We're not doing this to try to increase the number of available units. You often see, and I've been guilty of asking for a greater height in things, and that would allow more units. That's nothing like this. This is something that, because of the site, made it difficult to get right, and we're now asking that we get a variance for it. Normally, ideally, you'd ask for this beforehand, but we caught it after the fact. One thing, and this is just the lawyer in me, and I was talking to Ms. McGrons about it. The statute, Tennessee Code Annotated 137207, which is the enabling statute for Board of Zoning Appeals, it allows you to consider peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties in considering a hardship. That's not captured in the ordinance. I point that out only to say I think there's a little more flexibility in the statute than the ordinance has, and I didn't want to make sure that if I never waive that argument in the future if that ever becomes an issue. But I'm hoping it doesn't here. I think this is a minimum adjustment necessary. It's going to do no harm. It meets the intent of the zoning ordinance, and because of the topographical and site constraints, I'd ask that you approve the variance. I do have Jim Borders, Tim Lemekis, and Jeff Miller here, can answer any questions as well.
Okay, very good. Are there any other individuals here to speak on behalf or opposition to this item? Okay, very good. Just for quick clarification, as kind of opening discussion here, in the overall site plan, we're talking about the lower right-hand building?
I think that's correct.
Okay.
It's the A lower, well, it depends on which way you're looking at it. If you go to
as it's in there.
the exhibits,
There.
That one,
that one, it is the bottom left.
the bottom left, okay.
No, bottom
Bottom
right.
right,
Bottom right,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of middle, sort of middle of site.
That's right,
It's
where
not
the
on a
road, see,
corner.
because of the curvature of the road there, and then the topography there with the retaining wall is kind of the issue with that corner that made that kind of a challenge to get seated properly.
Okay, thank you. Board discussion?
Mr. Mullins, is it fair to say that had this been realized on the front end, that you would have asked for this variance at the front end of the project?
I think that's something that we would have talked about because the way the layout is with that, it being such a small issue, I think that we probably would have come here and asked for it.
Does the building placement affect widths for traffic for cars and parking depths and so forth?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I think the way they are laid out, if you've been by there's been quite a bit of grading and there's been quite a bit of retaining walls that had to be built for this to make this a buildable site. So there were challenges. Now, exactly how all that came out, if we caught this on the front end, I'm not sure.
Well, and I guess I asked that question, maybe this is a question for the developer, but that in my way of thinking, I wouldn't have been building that slope and area if I didn't need it because of other reasons on site. Drive aisle,
And I'm sure there is, yeah. 'cause you said
or something like that would have pushed.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Jim, do you want
I can
to answer that question?
I'm Jim Borders with the Novair Group. And so the way the building was permitted would have been, it was permitted so that it would have been behind the line. And so what happened is that our surveyor came out and placed the buildings. That's what they do. They placed the buildings. They thought they had it right. Contractor built the buildings. We actually have in our processes to do a survey to make sure. And during the process of that survey being done, and we discovered maybe a little slowly that building was slightly over the line. And so we self-reported it and that's what happened. But for sure, we wouldn't have built over the line if,
Sure, but would you, if you had not been able to place that building foundation where it is, would it have, what other consequences would have happened to your overall site?
Sounds like it was designed to not be where it is. It was accidentally placed in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I got that.
So I don't think they would have requested a variance, is what
No.
I'm hearing.
So you wouldn't have requested a variance on the front end for it?
Again, I don't know if we would have or not at that point. I mean, I think we thought we could fit it within there, and it's certainly designed to do that, but the field work revealed something different.
Does engineering have any issues with the building as it's placed?
No.
Thanks.
I think for me, obviously it was designed to be in the correct place, and I appreciate the self-reporting of it. We were looking at a very, very minor setback of just over a foot for a total length of, I don't know, I guess if you include the patio between them, you've got
It's like
38
3%.
38 feet over the course of a very large site.
Yeah.
I don't find that to be something that would cause injury to neighboring properties, in particular, the fact that it's located pretty well mid of their own property. So. Any further discussion or motion?
Make a motion that we approve variance request BZA 250062 on the grounds of really topography as much as anything else and the requirements of the needing of a retaining wall for that site.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The variance has been granted.
Thank you all very much.
Stay where you are, sir. Next, here is BZA 250066. We'll have staff comments.
Yes, the applicant is requesting two variances related to a proposed commercial building within a previously developed multi-tenant shopping center in a CG3 zoning district. The first request is to increase the required front setback in a CG3 zoning district along North Shore Drive from a build-to zone of 0 feet to 20 feet to 605 feet. The second request is to increase the required front setback in a CG3 zoning district along North Weisgarber Road from a build-to zone of 0 feet to 20 feet to 32 feet. The subject property is interpreted as a through lot or double frontage lot. Therefore, it must meet the required build-to zone standards for both front lot lines. The proposed development will be located along the North Weisgarber Road frontage as shown on the provided site plans. The applicant should discuss whether they have explored a subdivision of the property that would eliminate the current configuration as a through lot in order to meet the required setbacks.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and address for the record again?
Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for the applicant.
Thank you. Can you please describe your request and hardship?
Yeah. There's two of them. Both of them present very particular issues. In front of you, you have what's highlighted is a current water line easement. The lot that we're wanting to build on, this property was approved and permitted prior to the recode being adopted and the build-to zones being required. So all of the buildings that are there are non-conforming. This new lot that we're wanting to build there, which fronts North Weisgarber, and then there's a parking lot behind it. You can see it. It's on the lot. It's on the lower, left side. They're wanting to place a building there. They would love to meet the build-to requirements that front North Weisgarber. It would give them a bigger building footprint, but because of that water line easement, they can't do that. So they can't meet the build-to requirements because the water easement line is in the way and we can't cover that over. So that's the reason for the request for the variance to change it fronting North Weisgarber from 0 to 20 feet to 32 feet. So we're outside of that water line easement. The other issue is because of the double frontage lot, the North Shore, if you look, you go over the parking lot, over Brookview Centerway, over the two mini malls and the Five Guys there. Then you go, if you're familiar, I'm sure most of y'all have driven through there, down the retaining wall, across the creek, and there's a little bit of a sliver there that creates that double frontage lot. That probably isn't the best one. There's an area you can see. Yeah, that does it. That one. You can see the line going for 605 feet from the proposed building. If you scroll down a little bit, you're not even there to the frontage. It's this little polyangle down there across from that is the build-to zone that we're supposed to meet. And frankly, we can't meet that. That would be impossible. And you couldn't subdivide the property because there's already covenants, restrictions in place. It's already been built out. They're just these two little out parcels that were for future development reserved. Now, that if we do that, we're creating a separate organization. There's just all these issues that would be created from that. Certainly, there's no way we can make a building that is on the lot that fronts North Weisgarber that would span the parking lot, span those existing buildings without tearing those buildings down. So this is just it's a really odd circumstance. It was created by the change in the zoning. Now we're building we have to meet the current zoning code, but there's no way we can meet these build-to requirements. We have looked into getting the waterline easement abandoned. And if we do that, we would not need that, but we haven't been able to secure that yet. I can assure you that if that waterline was abandoned, we would build closer because that would increase the overall size of the building. That's something that we've talked about. But these are two very specific hardships with the existing easement that we have not been able to get abandoned, and with just the oddity that there is a slight bit of frontage on North Shore that technically makes this a double frontage lot where you have to meet the build-to zones on both sides. And there's just no way to do that. It's not practical to try to subdivide this property because it's all built out except for these two parcels themselves and already subject to the covenants, restrictions, and the governances that govern that entire, property, which was intended to be a kind of unified development with common areas and restrictions in place. So we'd ask for a variance for both of these, and it is what we're asking for is the bare minimum necessary. We're not asking for anything different than what would be required just to technically comply with the zoning ordinance once these variances are in place.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition to this item? All right, we'll open to board discussion. Can you explain why, again, subdividing is not an option?
There's covenants and restrictions and rules that govern all of the property, and so all those governances are in place that would have to be undone in order to do it, and that affects ownership, that affects governance. So trying to do that is just completely impractical. Versus there's no way, even if we subdivided it, all it would do is not make that a double frontage lot anymore. When taking the property as it is with the current site constraints, there's no way anyone could, even if you were trying to build something on the other end, you're not going to be able to do it with that little piece the way it is and meet any type of setback. So, any future development that would have frontage on North Shore would have this same issue regardless, which is really you couldn't comply with.
Thank you. Here, right? So for me, I think item 2 is, that's straightforward to me. There's an easement there that's prohibiting use of that. I think the first one I understand. I'm just trying to get my head around it a little bit, that we deal with this a lot with when there's multiple buildings on the lot in a build to zone. And in this particular case, it's a huge parcel. Then just frankly, not everything can be in the front. Not to mention that corner. So does it only apply to that little bitty piece that's actually touching the road?
So that's where the measurement would start.
But let's say if that little flag piece wasn't on there,
Then it would just be it would have frontage
It would
along
on
North
the other side.
Weisgarber, and then it would have to meet the rear setbacks for the other side.
okay. That's interesting. I'd give away that piece.
Which are what?
Rear setback in CG3 is none unless abutting a residential district, and it's 25 feet.
I think we're safe at 602 for the rear setback. And this property was designed and put together for these out parcels before this code created this issue. Otherwise, it would have been designed differently if it was under the current code. But it's there and it's creating the issues.
Yeah. It's like if that little thing just were like, go for it.
Make a motion, we approve variance BZA 250061 and 2.
6-6.
Sorry, 250066, isn't that what I said?
No, you said 6-1 and 6-2.
Okay. Anyways, What I meant to say was BZA 250066, 1 and 2.
There you go.
All right. Based on irregular lot shape and existing easements.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed? Variance is granted.
Thank you all very much.
All right, back to BZA 250063. Is our applicant with us? Very good. As he's making his way forward, staff comments, please.
Yes, the applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed duplex in an R4 zoning district. The request is to increase the maximum driveway width on a lot with 50 feet or less of lot frontage from 18 feet to 50 feet. The design of the proposed duplex does not include a garage or carport. Because of this, Article 11.3.E.2 of the ordinance states, with lot frontage of 75 feet or less, the driveway must be within 10 feet of the side lot line. The proposed driveway design meets the standard. However, the driveway spans the entire width of the 50-foot wide lot. Per Article 11.7, the maximum driveway width is 18 feet. The applicant should address why alternative compliance measures were not taken to create a compliant driveway that would be approvable by the Department of Engineering.
Thank you. Thank you. Will you please state your name and address for the record?
Ryan Lynch, 4199 Barber Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37918.
Thank you. And can you just describe your request and hardship, please?
Yeah, so we're trying to ask for a variance for the minimum driveway width from 18 feet maximum up to 50 feet for the width of this house, duplex specifically, in order to be able to park in a logical manner that fits the neighborhood. There's a very significant amount of topography behind this house. There was an existing residence there at one time. So with the site constraints, the lot width, it is best suited to be able to park in the front of the unit. And so we're asking for this, what I would say, technical request in order to be able to fulfill the parking requirements.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition to this item? Okay, very good. We'll open it to board discussion.
This house isn't built yet.
No, sir, it's not. We were going through site plan review and went through several different iterations and just were not able to meet the requirements. So this is where we landed to be able to ask for a variance.
So if I'm reading this correctly, is the driveway width 50 feet or is the driveway width 20 feet?
So it's 50 because they have 20 in the right of way, but once it gets on the property,
This diagram.
the wording of the zoning doesn't allow for it to split. And so in order to have that split, they have to have a 50-foot wide driveway.
If it were scooted back 5 feet, would we still be here with that variance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Does engineering have any issues with this?
No.
What's the difference between a driveway and a parking lot?
So depends on what your development is. The way the wording is for front yard parking, for single-family duplex townhouse developments is that the driveway is is the parking. We have a specifically defined parking lot as 6 parking spaces or more, to try to keep this out of that territory, even if you could cram 6 spaces on here, we're not gonna say, oh, well, now it's a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's very nuanced.
Not that it would be desirable, I'm just looking at, you could
Right.
create a centered driveway and a parking lot and it would not look better. But I'm just trying to understand the request. I think for me, one of my concerns on lots like this is, are we getting into territory of, are we asking too much of a piece of property when we have to?
So I'll give you a little bit of background on this one. This was rezoned to RN4 in 2022 unanimously. It's surrounded by apartments, duplexes, triplexes, all different kinds of flavors. And there was no opposition. And we actually came to the city with some architectural and civil looks at doing apartments and looking at the impact of what that would be. We ended up taking the 2 lots that were there and splitting it into the situation that you see now. Worked with the city to think that maybe duplexes was the best fit for this area.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I've had similar comments about Fort Sanders, that a single-family size lot, even if it's zoned RN4, doesn't mean it's appropriate to build an apartment complex on, based on size and what we're doing. And I think this is one of those cases, topography has pushed you forward. And the fact that it is a duplex has created a situation where you can't get a driveway around to park in the rear. And so it, in a lot of ways, feels like it's been designed into a corner of needing this, and I'm trying to sort of grapple with that. And I guess the 2 driveways isn't allowable because of the width of the lot as well.
Correct.
Okay. Be interested to hear from you all.
Struggling just dimensionally, I'm not even sure this works. Because of that 10-foot wide turnaround in the front. To be able to get a car backed in and out without having to back into the street.
Well, we can certainly push it back a little bit to be able to widen that out. But again, though, we looked at different ways, but with the current interpretation of the area in which you park being considered a driveway, that isn't gonna change the reality of what we're trying to accomplish. So as far as this is kind of a stalemate where we got to out of multiple iterations. But you're right, we could push back just a little bit further, but again, it's not gonna change the wording of the variance.
No.
So, yeah, we haven't really polished this to the point of saying this is where it's going, but we gotta get through this portion of it first. And I'll definitely take that into suggestion. And we can also narrow down that center aisle as well to be able to better facilitate it.
You said you subdivided these lots?
Yes. It was 2 lots and now we have 4. And keep in mind that aesthetically, having the parking in the front is a better fit for this neighborhood portion of this block, just because of where you're coming down into the intersection. You kind of want to have this unit back just a little bit further if at all possible. So we could scoot it forward and then try to figure out a way to cram it in the back. But aesthetically, I think that it's a better fit for what we're trying to accomplish in that area. And, this proximity to the school, this is an ideal spot to have the middle housing.
Sure. I can't tell you how to design your properties, but I'm having a hard time understanding how this isn't a self-created problem. You've kind of subdivided as far as you can, and then we're squeezing a duplex on lots that are the size of a normal residential home without a plan for how you're going to get cars in there. I'm in agreement. I'm not sure how you pragmatically not pull out into the street. I'm a little surprised engineering is okay with this because of that. Because I don't see a turnaround. I don't see a way to get in and park and then get out without, or if there is a way to do it, I think it's a design that in my mind lends towards pulling out into the street. I would be more apt to ask questions about moving the structure one way or the other in order to get a driveway, personally. Because then at least if you move that house forward, you'd have enough room in the back.
Yeah, but you realize that it will also impede the block face at that point, so you would end up in another situation. Because
Sure.
we have to match halfway through the block face.
I think one of the things I was thinking about with that is when you have ownership of multiple, you could create a
Could do that as well.
driveway.
He does not have he does not have control over those other ones.
Or
that I understand.
subdivided and no longer owns.
Well, however all that works, yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
just-
so the lots are subdivided, but who owns this unit doesn't have control of the other units?
I don't think, there's like entities involved.
Other lots,
that-
I mean?
Investors and entities that have things to do with each other that I'm not privy to.
Any other questions, comments, or thoughts from?
I mean, engineering said they don't have a problem with this.
Yeah, but that's only, that I still am struggling on how this is not self-created.
Sure.
Any further discussion or motions? I'll make a motion. Oh, are you about to discuss?
No,
Okay.
no, just breathing heavily.
I'll make a motion to deny BZA 250063 on lack of a hardship.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, the variance is.
Thank you very much for your time. Just one point while I'm here. If we do want to investigate the parking area versus the driveway area, how does one go about doing that? Because you had even mentioned that, because there's a bit of a confusion there. Is that a method in which I can come back before this board?
I would defer you to talk with staff about that.
Okay.
Sounds like there's some definitions and things that you would need to be aware of that.
Yeah, like there is a
beyond us.
definition of a driveway and there is a definition of a parking space. So they're obviously two separate things. It's just, how do you get in front of somebody to help them to determine that? 'Cause-
I would say contact,
One of
who
those two
wants to be
guys.
point of contact?
Sure. Our department plans review and inspections, the zoning administrator would make determinations on, of course, it would go based on definitions, but we can have further discussion on that outside of this meeting.
So that's fine, but then they're the judge and jury of whether or not you actually can further expand that conversation. So is there an application or something that we can come before?
Then
There-
you would appeal the zoning administrator's determination.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's several processes and they can help you through
Okay,
that. Tree.
perfect. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
What was the last one? This one was an extraordinary, explicit, and elaborate request. Wasn't that what it was? You're welcome. We appreciate your all's help.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, BZA 250064, is our applicant with us?
Yes.
All right, very good. Can we have staff comments, please?
Yes, the applicant is requesting 3 variances related to a proposed secondary detached sign in an O zoning district. The first request is to increase the number of detached signs allowed per parcel in an O zoning district from 1 to 2. The second request is to increase the maximum allowed sign height for detached sign from 6 feet to 18 feet. The Third request is to increase the maximum sign area for a detached sign from 36 square feet to 80.8 square feet. The subject property currently has a detached sign located at the main driveway entrance along Kingston Pike. There's already a secondary detached sign located at the secondary driveway entrance along Kingston Pike. The applicant is proposing to raise this existing secondary sign and replace it with the proposed design featured in the application. The removal of this sign would mean that the property would need to come into compliance with the current provisions, which allow for only one detached sign in the O zoning district. The applicant should address how their hardship meets the standards for granting a variance in Article 16.3.
Thank you.
Okay,
Would you
Is this
state your
fine?
name and address?
Yeah.
Yes, you're on.
sure, thanks. John Thurman, 550 West Main Street, Suite 300, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37902.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for hearing our request. So the church, I'm here on behalf of Cedar Springs Church at 9132 Kingston Pike. I also have John Lawler representing the administration with the church with us, and Adam Buchanan with our firm, who has helped us with the project management and sign. I mean, the entire project at Cedar Springs we've been working on, if there's more detailed questions. The request is really about, we've been making improvements to the facilities and on the property. It's really a campus. They have sports fields and daycare and worship and multiple functions. It's currently zoned office. There's a desire from the church to improve the aesthetics of the sign, to make it more modern. We believe this sign was, the original sign was probably around the 80s, and they would like to reflect a different logo and some other things. And so basically the size of the sign, although not in compliance with the zoning, is the same size as the sign that's there in that place. So we would really be same location, removing the sign, putting back a new sign with different graphics, similar materials, brick, just a different aesthetic. Our approach is that basically everything around us on Kingston Pike is commercial zoning, and the sign requirements would be different in the office and commercial spaces. And they really would like to have a sign that's similar to the one they have now, based on the addition of all the development that's happened around them and the large piece of property they have. In full transparency, we initially came with this request when we were thinking of size and height. Our team and nor the members of the church that are representing this project were aware of the other sign when it was built and the timeline. So I don't know. We weren't ever viewing that other as a sign, more as an entry element, but I do acknowledge that it does have the text that says this is the church. There's no other signage and, no other details involved. So we didn't even realize that was being considered another sign, but I do acknowledge that that does make sense. So we first thought we were coming just to replace the sign in kind. And now we have the other sign to deal, that's a two sign that's not allowed in the office. My understanding is I think that may be allowed in commercial. And so, I don't know that for a fact, but, depending on the zoning, how that works, so.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
that's my request.
Okay, thank you. And then, do we have anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition? Very good. We'll have someone behind you. Other side. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Joyce Feld. I live at 1540 Aguila Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37919. And I'm here today as president of Scenic Knoxville. So one thing I'm confused about is that there were 3 requests for variances listed on the application, and one of them was to allow a second sign, but I didn't see anything in the application about a second sign. It seemed like everything in the application pertained to the primary sign on Kingston Pike. So I'm not sure what number 1 is about. But anyway, the existing sign that's shown there, or was shown there, that's fronts Kingston Pike, is perfectly visible from all directions on Kingston Pike. The name of the church on the sign is visible and readable. I've passed it thousands of times over the years. I've always been able to read the name of the church. I visited the site again recently, and I had no trouble seeing the sign while I was driving from either direction. I'm not sure of the current sign's exact size, but the sign is already taller and larger than what's allowed under the ordinance. And I don't believe that the standards for this sign changed with the enactment of the new sign ordinance in 2015. I believe that the standards for the office district were kept the same and constant. So I think that it's possible that the applicant has a larger sign now than what's allowed previously because they were already granted a variance when the sign was installed originally. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing that must be true since the sign exceeds the standards that were in place then. The church is located directly across the street from a large commercial development, and I remember when this development went in, under the terms agreed upon when that development was established several years ago, it was agreed that all signs must be monument signs, and I believe that the monument signs cannot be taller than 8 feet. So none of those signs compete with the visibility of the applicant's sign, since the applicant's sign is even taller than the signs across the street. And while there are some taller signs on the same side of Kingston Pike as the church, they are located at a significant distance from the church, and they do not impair visibility of the church or its sign. In order to be granted a variance, an applicant must have a legal hardship as defined by our ordinance. The applicant in this case has not claimed a legal hardship. The lot is not exceptionally irregular, narrow, shallow, or steep. The lot does not have any other exceptional physical conditions. Strict application of the ordinance would not result in practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship, which would deprive the owner of reasonable use of the property. The applicant will not be prevented from using this property as the zoning ordinance intended. Located in an area with taller, larger signs is not a legal hardship. In fact, the applicant has already functioned as a successful church with a large membership for many decades. The purpose of the sign ordinance enacted in 2015 is to reduce sign clutter and improve the appearance of the city. Allowable sign height and sign size were reduced in service of that mission. The ordinance was thoroughly vetted in a 3-year process, and it received overwhelming public support. Granting this variance would directly contradict the intent of City Council and the will of the citizens of the will of the residents of the city of Knoxville. So we ask in conclusion that you deny this variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to speak? Okay, seeing none. Would the applicant like to address the one question asking for clarification about item number 1?
Yes.
Where is the second sign? It's just not in the exhibits.
Good question. Can you scroll up to maybe,
Go to the aerial photo from
Yeah.
KGS's letter portrait. Oh, one too far.
there you go.
Zoom in there. Oh, next one.
The
That one.
Yeah.
And go to that driveway, and it's on the
So
right-hand side in that corner. It's
that's
a
right.
Circular sign. It says Cedar Springs, and it's made of brick.
Yeah, it's right. Yes, right to your right. Right about where the cursor is right there. It's a brick with sort of a precast text inside built into the sign. So that's where it's currently located.
Okay.
And the ideas would be if we took this down,
Then it would be considered your primary sign in the absence of the
right?
other. Okay.
Yeah, so we took this one down. Now we already have a sign. Aren't allowed a second sign, so it would be a second sign, and then the sign would need to be bigger if we were matching it.
Okay.
Thanks.
So would you describe that as a site feature, or is it's a wall? What is that?
It's defining the entry right at the parking, and it's a full brick wall, masonry wall. So it was more of an entry feature, but once again, we weren't the designers or the team involved in that. So the interpretation of it as a sign is, you know,
I
that's,
just,
we didn't.
it's
do
not
it
a
that way.
retaining wall. I'm trying to just context.
it's not, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Do we know if there was a past variance on that other sign?
There was a variance approved 4/15/2010. The board voted 3-0 to approve the 3 requests. I don't have all of these requests because they're not documented on my computer here. There'd be a hard copy file. But basically, it would have given them a second sign, which would have been the sign on that intersection. And then.
On this intersection, right?
Because that sign was permitted in 2010.
Okay,
The other sign, I believe, predates that.
okay.
And so they would have got the second sign, but the fact that they're going to raise the other sign would then make that variance null because it was for that sign.
So
the voluntary
the one that's
raising.
being replaced is the first. The variance was to allow what is
A
the
secondary
other.
sign, and then
And it would
once
become
that
primary.
one's raised, that becomes the primary, and then this was for a secondary sign.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, it was a little bit. Got it. Okay. It's a very large parcel.
Yeah, that's my ultimate reason for actually being in support of this variance, because it's a large property.
At least on the number.
Once upon a time, these were all separate parcels that have been one lotted over time, and the length of that property, I think what they're asking for makes sense. They're not gonna increase the size of the one they're tearing down to replace. And it's a big campus, period, and the amount of signage they have for the size that it is, in my opinion, is already pretty, I mean, it's very reasonable. And it's not gonna be increasing any type of visual impact than what's already there. I don't believe. I mean, it's slightly larger, but,
Yeah, I think
and even if, I don't know, maybe I could get away with, maybe I could back off on the size a little bit, I think, and keep it the same size, maybe. Anyways, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, I think the sheer size of the property, the 2 signs, and the fact that I think the intent was to allow 2 and that tangle, I get how we get there, but I kind of feel like that's still in keeping with maybe what was already approved. And then the size, though, I struggle because this is something that, the code is about the future condition, and when there are changes, we've been
Yeah.
consistent about enforcing those. Before I speak out of turn, John, you said the proposed sign is of the same height and width, just a different shape? Or is it taller or wider?
It's larger, isn't it? That's what
So Adam can help me here.
It's
The
larger
design
than
is at the peak, where the peak is shown in the existing sign. It would probably have been helpful to have like an overlay, to be honest, but where the peak is of that sign in red. Yes, so
Squaring off?
the flat part, it'll be squared off at that height. Am I saying anything wrong, Adam? Same, general width, height, depth. Foundation would obviously be different. It wouldn't have the
the bulked out foundation piece.
yeah, the components down
But
there.
at the top would get squared up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does match the height, the final height, not the sort of eve height.
So it's not actually, okay.
Yeah.
No, the intent was not to go bigger, but to really match the same.
Did you explore, and I'm not going to get into the depths of this because I think it could get super in the weeds, but did you explore with staff the extent to which the existing sign could be renovated?
We did talk about that. We were first thinking, could we, structurally use the foundation to rebuild the same sign? To build the sign we proposed, and our understanding is that's not the appropriate response. And so I think it was approved that we could use the sign messaging board to make changes where it says Cedar Springs. We could have the freedom to be able to make adjustments in that if it was desired.
Yeah.
Am I wrong
just-
about that, Brian? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like, gosh, if you could lop off the triangle at the top and make it, and figure out a way to adapt it to be what you want, that
Yeah.
should be a heck of a lot easier. I just don't
I
know.
think we would-
There's a lot to that in terms of how that works in the signing ordinance.
I mean, actually, I think we didn't get very far in the discussion. You guys speak up if I'm out of turn here, but we didn't get very far in the discussion, but the idea of adding the metal wrapper to that sign and trying to work with it in some capacity, that's obviously a pretty big lift, but it was something that we talked about. If we could make it work aesthetically, would it make sense to be able to add our own messaging board, change the graphics, and then figure out a way to disguise the top in some capacity? But we didn't explore that visually. We just almost thought it was kind of a non-starter to add to the sign without having to come back or without being out of turn. Is that right? Would you say it's right?
It is, yeah. So the sign language, as far as a permit, it allows for, minor renovations, changing or removable parts of the sign designed to be changed, repainting of display matter, or replacing lettering or decoration. So the determination was made on the existing sign that as long as it stayed within the confines of what was there, they could reface that, do something within that. But once it got beyond into the brick and actual structure of the sign, then it would actually change the sign.
Thank you. I do think, I mean, this particular corner of the site, I mean, to me, it is relatively unobstructed. There's a clear visual to the church building behind it. I don't think a shorter sign would, especially with as minimal as the information on the sign is. It's not like we're trying to put 15 tenants on it. I don't know. I struggle with the size of the variance here.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 250064 as it's submitted on the basis of the overall size of the property of the campus. And,
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. So we are 2-2, so that fails. So we need a new motion? Okay, I'll make a motion to deny BZA 250064 for lack of hardship. Actually, I'm gonna split that. I am gonna make two motions. We'll deal with one at a time. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve BZA 250064, item number 1, based on the length of frontage and previous approvals, and I believe this meets the intent of that previous request.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for item number 1 only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, so item number 1, oh,
I didn't vote.
okay. All those in favor?
I'm not sure.
You were in
I'm going
favor
to be opposed to that. Go ahead. Sorry. Keep going.
to approving number 1?
Number 1.
Okay. All right, so 3-1, I know I'm perplexed too, but we'll go. So 3-1, item number 1 is approved. Then second motion would be to deny BZA 250064, items 2 and 3 for lack of hardship.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
I haven't yet voted yet.
You haven't, yes.
I'm in favor of the motion. Aye. So 3-1.
3-1.
Yep.
3-1, so that
Motion carries.
motion carries. So item 1 has been approved and items 2 and 3 have been denied. All right. I think we need coffee. All right, new business. Look at us. BZA 250065, is our applicant here with us or online? Looks like not. I'll make a motion that we, oh, wait. Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion that we postpone BZA 250065 to the end of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will come back to that. Next item is BZA 250067. Is our applicant with us? Looks like he is. All right. Can we have staff comments?
Yes, the applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed gas station in the CG3 zoning district. The request is to decrease the minimum transparency requirement along the ground floor of the front facade that abuts a public right-of-way measured between 2 and 10 feet in height from grade in a CG3 zoning district from 30% to 19%. The applicant suggests that the transparency cannot be met due to restrooms being proposed along the street-facing facade and therefore has provided minimal windows. If the floor plan is reversed, the applicant states the windows would be located behind proposed beverage coolers. A request to decrease the minimum transparency from 30% to 3.5% along this facade was denied by BZA in June of this year. The applicant has since revised their drawings to incorporate additional windows while providing privacy for its occupants.
Thank you. Will you please state your name and address for the record?
Michael Scott.
Oh, will you press your button?
Somehow went on. How about
Thank
that
you.
right there? Does that
Perfect.
work? Okay. Michael Scott, I'm an architect with MBI Companies, 299 North Wisegarber Road, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37919. The hardship for the building is we don't have enough length on that elevation to meet the 30%. The building is allowed one placement point on the site. We have talked about that in the past at other BZA meetings. It fits in one spot and it gives us that east elevation of the building facing North Shore. We have had multiple emails and phone conversations with Mark and Peter, and even had an in-person kind of workshop meeting with staff to try to get a solution that would work. So we feel that lowering the sill height to those window openings to 6 feet from, I believe we had 7'4" before, and then raising the ceiling height of the interior spaces allows that window head to go up to 10 feet, allowed us to get that much more transparency on that elevation. We are still looking into the same spaces in the same conditions, but now we're up to, if you calculate it, it's actually 20%, but we gave some construction tolerances and took it to 19.
Okay.
So our request is from 30% to 19.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition to this item? Okay, very good. Discussion.
I think a lot of my comments I could reiterate, but we said them before, but I feel like this is a weird site for several different reasons. And that this variance is reasonable based on site conditions that are here and the practical use and how the property lays out. It's hard to work this property, I think, in numerous different ways to make it work without a variance request, and I appreciate their efforts in particular to improve the overall condition so it's a lesser variance.
I too thank you for going back to the board and coming back with a lesser request.
Thank you.
It's appreciated effort. I do think that this is getting a lot closer to the intent of, the nature of what we're hoping for in that corridor by the code, and acknowledge challenges of allowable size and necessary requirements. would be interested to hear Brad and Kim's thoughts.
I actually echo Daniel's in that I appreciate you coming back with the revision, understanding there's still a variance needed and required, but it now comes closer to the minimum required. So thank you.
Any further discussion or a motion?
Make a motion that we approve BZA 250067 as written.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Variance has been granted.
Thank you, board. Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, back to BZA 250065. Has anyone joined us? I don't believe anyone else has come through here.
I'll make a motion to postpone BZA 250065 to the October 2025 meeting of BZA.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that item has been postponed, and that takes us to the end of our agenda, which is other business, and our next BZA meeting will be held on October 21st at 4 p.m. here in the small assembly room of the City County Building. The meeting is adjourned.